Okay, well, hello everyone. Lovely to see you, very precious. Gisela.
Hola.
Hello, hola Gisela.
Hola.
Hello, Holger. Hey, John.
Hello.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Jenny.
Hi, Maggie.
Hello, Jenny, Richard, George, and Jenny, and Esther. Hello, Esther. Zoe. Salut, Shiva. Hello, Grace. Holly. So let me just make sure to activate the security here. Security. We need security. Okay. Oh, happy birthday, Holger. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Holger, happy birthday. So, yeah, we have to say happy birthday to Holger. You cannot get around this one, Holger. Happy birthday. And
thank you. Thank you.
It's very
Virgo.
okay.
All right.
So we can invite ourselves to the peace of being, which does not require any effort. So you welcome yourself, you welcome everything. Which is a sort of a relaxation, a sort of yesness. We meet our experience. We meet each other without any borders, without any conditions, without any separation. Like we meet the breath, the sensations of the body, in the world as it appears to us. An inner tranquility. Which is void of any fragmentation. Because reality is not fragmented. What you truly are is not fragmented. As presence, as undivided, indivisible awareness. We do not know any separation. There's no inside and outside. And in this understanding, all impressions of separation and segmentation are an old echo. They are not on board. So rather than listening to the old narratives, we go directly to our experience as this indivisible awareness. There's no universe outside of your reality. Your reality and the reality of the universe are one. And this oneness knows itself as the causeless peace. And not as somebody who is born in time and space. Somebody who exists within the narrative of thoughts and feelings. We realize that thoughts and feelings that appear within us, like the sensation of hunger, or the image of a dear friend. They appear within us. But they're not apart. There is no distance. All impressions of separation dissolve in this peace, the peace of being. Sensations and thoughts are not meant to define you. You can release them from the burden of defining you. So that they can be free. Like a bird is free in its flight. Thoughts and sensations do not need to be put in a cage. Like everything else, they express the freedom of the Absolute to create and to dissolve, to perceive without compromising your freedom, without compromising the peace of being. All feelings are a form of sensation. Neutral. But when you make it your end goal, then you solidify something that is just passing by. Somehow we connect thoughts together. To form a storyline with the theme being me. What is that? In the realm of infinite possibilities. What is this? Imaginary me? What relevance is it? What is this concern? What is it that is concerned? In the realm of infinite possibilities? This imaginary me is a speck of dust. While the reality of consciousness is magnificent. Quite a wonder. Such creativity and sweetness. The puzzle of all puzzles, the greatest puzzle. And yet we live as this speck of dust this so-called me, which is completely insignificant. Where do you find this me? How many more cycles of spinning in space? How many more cycles of me-ness are you going to spin? How many more orbits? What's the big deal about this me? Isn't it quite a wonder to be aware, to be? Which is formless and borderless. And so absolute. And yet, somehow, in the face of the infinite realm of being, we choose to be somebody. And we feel limited, mortal, troubled, worried. But we don't have to, do we? We don't have to choose to be somebody. We can remain not knowing, remain as we are right now. Not moving away or towards. Not avoiding, not seeking, not trying to become a fixer, fixing what? Our experience? It's already on board, isn't it? Fixing our feelings. They're already on board. Fixing the weather. And that's what we do, don't we? Led by the nose, by feelings, thoughts. What gives such power to thoughts and feelings? Isn't it the power you give them? Are you enjoying the power of thoughts and feelings over you? Is it happy? What is it that we defend, that we protect? If not a bundle of images that we've given importance to, we've identified with. Okay, so let me see about the changing the security settings here. Hopefully we don't have any disturbance. Anything that you would like to explore or any questions? You're welcome to unmute yourself and share whatever you would like to share. Any questions?
Hi, Magdi. Can you
Hello,
hear me?
Manoj. Yes, I
Hi,
hear.
yeah. My
Yeah.
name is Manoj. Sorry, sometimes I join your meetings late because I'm in the office sometimes and I have to attend office meetings.
Yes.
So question I have is it's a continuation of question one gentleman asked in the last meeting about thoughts. So uh, I have a problem with thought as many people have because I feel that I am the thought. Like I don't see the difference between me and thought. I'm so merged or entangled in the thinking process. It feels like that's me. I don't see the separation between a different entity and thought. So wherever thought takes me, pleasure, pain, happiness, sorrow, I just get carried away. So how do we make that gap between me and thought?
Well, you perceive the thought, don't you?
Yeah,
In other
that
words,
is true.
the thought that, you know, I am, I live in New York. In order to express this thought, or in order to feel this thought, you have to perceive it, right?
Right.
So my question is to you is, does a thought perceive a thought?
I don't think so.
Okay. So therefore, whatever perceives the thought is not a thought.
Right.
So therefore, and that which perceives the thought is I perceive the thought. Whatever I is, I'm not defining I perceive the thought. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you put all this together, that a thought does not perceive a thought on one hand, and on the other hand, I perceive the thought, then I, which is that which perceives the thought, cannot be a thought, right?
Right.
So when you say, I cannot separate myself from the thought, you are not the thought. You are that which perceives the thought.
That's right. I think theoretically I accept it logically.
Yes.
That sounds reasonable and right. But experientially, I think the thoughts are so sticky. Sorry, I had to use that word because I don't know how to
Right.
explain it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thought that you perceive is, by the very fact of perception, is not separate from you, the perceiver.
Mm.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, yes, yeah.
In other words, there is zero distance between
Correct.
I and the thought, right?
Right.
So given there is zero distance, then it makes sense that I experience no separation from the thought.
Mm-hmm.
But this is quite different from the experience that the thought, that, for example, the experience that a thought knows me or knows something about me.
Mm.
In other words, although the thought and I, awareness, consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
are at zero distance one from the other, and so therefore we're one,
Right.
I know the thought, but the thought does not know me.
Agree. Yeah.
Good. So to experience that there is no division between me and the thought makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot that resonates. Yes, the thought and I are not two. But the thought is known by I, does not know me, and the thought changes. It's a flow. It appears and disappears
Correct.
within me, not separate from me, within me, like inhalation ends and then there is exhalation, right?
Yeah.
Like hunger, and then there is the end of hunger.
Mm-hmm.
So the thoughts appear and disappear, they change, but they're not separate from me, but they do change. I don't change, nor do I appear and disappear. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay. So therefore your experience that I am not separate from the thoughts, or the thoughts are not separate from me, is valid experience. But also the understanding that there is no issue with a thought. Thought is a form of myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of myself that I take on many forms. Take on the form of a thought, take on the form of a perception, I take on the form of a feeling, I take on the form of a sound, I take on the form of the world. All forms, all perceptions, all experiences are not separate from me. They're at zero distance from me.
Right.
It's like water takes on the form of vapor or of ice, takes on the form of a waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
But it's these forms, these various forms, various manifestations, these thoughts, these sensations, they are the way I, consciousness, moves or dances.
Mm-hmm.
So thought is not an enemy, it's not a problem. You don't need to divide yourself from the thought. It's not the right path.
Mm.
We don't make a problem of the thought. At the same time, we're watchful not to use a thought to know myself.
Mm. Right.
A thought appears and disappears. It arises out of yourself meaning out of consciousness, is known by yourself as consciousness.
I think my problem is they take hold of me, kind of, they possess me. I mean, lot of majority of thoughts are worries, and they create anxiety, they create stress. It's like a nightmare. I'm sleeping and I'm having a nightmare, but it's having a real impact on my feelings and my experience. So I don't like that, and I feel like I should feel that separation, that, oh, these thoughts are
I
a
see.
separate object and I should not worry about them.
Yeah. No, Manoj, no. A thought has no power. Now, if somebody comes and says, oh, you are so stupid, they express a thought, right?
Right,
You heard the thought, you perceived the thought, right?
right.
The thought doesn't hurt you because the thought is just a vibration. The thought is a sound wave in a way.
Right.
It has no power. It's like a sound has no power. But if I have somehow this idea that I am beyond insult, I should not be insulted. Nobody should address me. Everybody should address me in a certain way. Then I'm okay. I'm happy as long as everybody is addressing me in a certain way, right?
Right.
As soon as somebody addresses me in a different way, expresses thought, they say, you are stupid. They make a sound. Because I have a condition, I feel hurt.
Correct.
I feel depressed. I feel anxious. So it is not the thought that is the culprit. It is my own definitions and my own conditions, my own definitions about myself, my own conditions about how the world should appear, my own conditions about how people should address me, my own conditions about how God should bestow me with a lot of wealth and wonderful friends, etc.
Right.
That is, Manoj, where the issue is. It is not the thoughts that are haunting you. What is haunting you is the belief that you are Manoj. The belief that you are Manoj leads you to have all sorts of conditions to protect Manoj. Protect Manoj. So Manoj exists in a tribal setting, in a societal setting. The body-mind Manoj is like, the tribe of monkeys. The monkeys exists in a certain social network of the monkey tribe.
Right.
It is important for the body-mind to be in a certain order with the pecking hierarchy of the body minds, of the human organisms. So when you are identified as that monkey, as a particular monkey, you have to engage in certain offense and defense and in certain negotiations with the tribe.
Right.
You have to go looking for food, and you've got to fight your way up the tree, all the way up the tree before the other monkeys get there, so you can grab the mango or the bananas that are growing up the tree.
Yeah.
Which is true of monkeys, and it's true of human beings too, the bodies. But what we are talking about is something very particular. We are talking about awareness, about consciousness.
Right.
In the human experience, we have the potential to know our true self. We have the capacity to know that I am this awareness right now, whatever it is that is perceiving these words. I am not the body instrument. I am not denying the body, the instrument, Manoj. The body is very essential for perception and functioning in the realm of this creative realm. But consciousness, now that is not identified with any particular body. So the point I am making, Manoj, is that the culprit in your experience, what that really is making you suffer, is not the thoughts, is the belief that you are a limited self. So
how to break that belief?
Sorry?
How to get out of that belief?
Well, you have to contemplate the belief. A belief has to be founded on some valid data, on some valid statistical
evidence.
Evidence, thank you, evidence. So what evidence do you have that you are the body? This is your question. I mean, your question. You have to pose your own question for yourself, not to me.
Right.
What evidence do I have that I am Manoj? Yes, the body is Manoj. You know, your mom and dad, they loved you. They loved the name Manoj. They said, "Oh, this is our lovely son Manoj." Beautiful. They might name the baby, you know, Manoj.
Yeah.
And that name, you know, they in our tradition we give to the particular body, although the body is changing, we keep the same name. You know, that's not true for women. They change their name. In some cultures, they change their name when they marry. They say, "Okay, now you're a different name." You know, but it's all about the body, yes. So, what evidence do you have that you are the body?
I mean, I haven't contemplated deeply. So right now I have a belief that I am the body because that's what I see when I open my eyes. I see that, and my feeling of being existence travels with the body. Wherever body goes, I feel I exist at that spot. When my body wakes up, I have experienced that I woke up. So that's why I feel that I am body.
Okay, if you, let's say that you have, you live in New York City, and every morning when you wake up, you turn on the television, and the television is the camera which is attached to the television is in Calcutta. So every time you open the television in the morning, you turn on the big screen, you know, big screen, 10 foot by 10 foot. You turn on with the remote, you see downtown Calcutta. So you feel you're in Calcutta. Why? Because every day you wake up, you turn on the TV, Calcutta, and you walk around. You have TV in every room, Calcutta, Calcutta, Calcutta. You feel you're in Calcutta. But the camera, the camera is in Calcutta.
Right.
The signal via satellite is, you know, whatever. And then your screens are in New York City. So you're perceiving the same perception, or almost the same perception, because downtown Calcutta things changing also, but still it is downtown Calcutta, you see. So you're perceiving the same sort of perception. And so you have the impression, oh, I am in Calcutta. So similarly, in our experience, we perceive, we wake up, we perceive the ceiling, then we perceive we go to the bathroom, we perceive the sink, we splash our water, we look in the mirror, we see a similar image. In fact, let's say that when you were a 12-year-old, when the body was 12-year-old, and you looked in the mirror and you took a picture and you compare the picture you took in 1980 to the picture this morning in the mirror, they're two different pictures, right? Because 30, 40 years went by, Manoj.
Right.
But still you would say, oh, it's the same. It's me, right?
Yeah.
But if you show this picture, if you leave the picture on the desk and your neighbor walks in and looks at these two pictures, says, oh, who is this boy?
Yeah.
You will say, oh, that's me. And he will say, oh, that's you.
That's very true, yeah.
So the fact that we are perceiving a similar, more or less a similar perception, it does not mean that this perception defines what we are. You perceive whatever you perceive, but you do not perceive yourself. The perceiver does not perceive itself phenomenally. You know, like the optic nerve, when the optic nerve is connected to, I don't know, the retina or something, there is what they call the blind spot. Where, so that which perceives is not perceived phenomenally.
When you say phenomenal, you mean like through our regular sensations and normal way of perceiving things?
Yes, through the senses.
Right. Okay.
You do not perceive the perceiver through the senses. You perceive instrument, you perceive perceptions, but you don't perceive the perceiver.
Right.
You only know the perceiver non-phenomenally via the I am. You don't know the perceiver phenomenally, but you know the perceiver nominally, because you know you are. Which is different from, I know the body is named Manoj, or the body is a male body. It's different from, I know my father is 5'8", and I know my car is a yellow Toyota. You don't know yourself phenomenally. You know yourself at the I am, just pure I am. Which you refer to as being, or awareness, being awareness, such it. Excuse me. So, yeah, you need to take a look, Manoj, at your assumptions about yourself, what you assume yourself to be, or what you believe yourself to be. And I understand that we all believe more or less ourselves to be a person, whatever. But we need to take a close look at that. So that's the answer to your question.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, you're welcome, Manoj. Any questions?
Magdi.
Hello, Marga.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Yes.
When observing, so in your meditation, I love it when when you were like this, the point of why not, why not permanently stop with the me? And it feels that pressing a lot in that, these moments that last and seem to be almost like a muscle where there's no thought. And from there's no problem. And they last longer and longer, which is lovely. But I keep pondering why. I guess I don't need to know why, but it almost just seems like a habit thought, just almost like a little bit of boredom, sort of like, oh, there's nothing going on. And then just sort of a subtle thought will come in, and then it starts into a whole thing. So I'm just curious about that. There's no problem there either. There's no problem, but sometimes it feels like, because it's not suffering, those thoughts aren't really about anything that causes suffering, but they are the purple glasses you were talking about the other day. That's a great metaphor, it feels like, because the thoughts are pertaining to a character.
Yes, so when thinking is, let's say, a form of escape or avoidance, or trying to give meaning, or trying to fulfill something, it pertains to the sense of me that is lacking something or needing something, or habitually, is going to fill in the blanks, or fill the bucket because the bucket feels empty. So what is that bucket? What is that bucket? So behind these, yes, thought is like vibration, sensation, movement. It's thought is the way consciousness or universal being or universal reality, it chooses to appear in this moment. As a thought, as a perception. So it's not something alien to consciousness. It's not something, some mistake, some errors. Oh my goodness, everything is cool but thought, everything is okay but this. No, it's not like that. But when thought or any sort of activities have behind them somebody who's needy, or who's feeling something is lacking, or I'll be better if, for example, I'm thinking about world politics, or I'm thinking about my dispute with my neighbor. I'm thinking about how come this person 12 years ago did that to me. We do that. Yes, on one hand, you could say that there's really no problem. No. But it has to be your direct experience. It has to be your direct experience. Yes. From my direct experience. To myself, not to anybody, just between myself and myself. Yes. All is well. Not all is well because I'm feeling this, all is well because I'm now remembering such. Well, no, there is no because, you see. Because if there is a because, then there is a clock ticking. The cause can, change. So it's between you and yourself. It's not like, oh, what is the problem with this? What is the problem with that? There is no problem with this or that or that. It's just within yourself. You look within yourself. What is going on? What is the issue? Well, I'm feeling, I need to do something. Well, the body mind is active. It's like water. If you let water sit still for a long time, you cannot drink it anymore. Bacteria grows in it. You see, it's natural for the body mind to be active, but there is activity and activity. There is activity which flows out of our humanness, our humanity. Activity, thinking. We like to travel. We like to call friends. We like to have friends over. And it's all sweet and it's all doesn't matter much, but yet we like to be active up to a certain point, and then we go to sleep. So there is activity and activity. There is an activity which behind the scene, there's no behind the scene. It's just life. And there is activity where behind the scene, there is something, some incompleteness, something that is, and we need to look there. We need to look for ourselves to see, well, why? Wait a minute, where did this come from? Who's invited that? And who is interested in keeping it? Obviously, if it's there, somehow something is maintaining it. Because if it's not being maintained, you look behind you, it's gone. Because that's the nature of things. The nature of things is you look behind you, it's gone. It's a fresh moment, fresh new moment. Every moment is fresh new moment. In the moment, there is no narrative. There's no narrative. There is just being, which is intimacy, which is oneness, wholeness, which we refer to as love. Reality is love. That is our experience when we are free from the belief, when we are not maintaining the belief of existing in time, that I exist in time. If I exist in time, then I am an object. I am some sort of form. I am something that's existing within a bigger reality. So I am limited. I am not the limitless reality. I am something existing within this limitless reality. So therefore, I am limited. But in fact, it's not possible for anything limited to exist within the limitless. That's a fallacy. It is not possible for the limitless to contain something limited, because whatever is limited within the limitless limits the limitlessness. It's like, okay, well, there is a limitlessness and there is the limited. So there is that side which is limitless and that side which is limited, which contradicts the very fact of limitlessness. So within the absolute, within the universal, there is not possibility for any objects or any limitation. It's not possible. So the limitation is a mental impression. It's not a reality. It is a mental impression. And this mental impression, we don't need to maintain it. It's a mental impression. All mind impressions are like the movement of the wind. Why do we have the mental impression of limitation? We have the mental impression of limitation from our youth. We sort of inherited, or not we inherited, we developed as a defense mechanism. We needed to be limited, to be separate from our yelling daddy, or from the teacher, or from our friends who are laughing at us, at whatever, mocking of us. So we needed to separate ourselves from them, because they were not the love. They were not expressing the love. So we developed a psychological skin, like the body has a skin to protect itself from whatever, various the environment. So we developed a psychological sense of me, but it's purely a temporary tool that we needed. We needed the ego for certain times in our life to maintain our sense of me and safeguard our sense of me. That's a certain phase in the human development. But beyond that stage, we don't need to maintain the egoic sense of me. Because at some point, we realize that there is presence, there is something else operating that the world cannot fulfill you. You come sooner or later. Sooner is better than later. That the world cannot fulfill you. But the world still is your playground, but it does not fulfill you. And yet you know you're looking for fulfillment. And you can no longer find the fulfillment that you found earlier in your youth as an ego, as a personal self. Now, the ego becomes your shell, becomes an obstacle for you for your happiness. When you start to look at the fulfillment that you're seeking, you may find, and hopefully you will find, that it's not possible for you to find that fulfillment as long as you are identifying yourself with a mortal body mind. How could a mortal object can get fulfillment? Or a body that is sort of that's sort of aging and the hair is turning white and the eyesight is going. How could being a body, that's fulfillment? Of course not. We come to that understanding. Hopefully, we come to that understanding early enough in our life so that we have the time to do the work, which Manoj was asking me about, the work of inquiry, of looking into the belief, because that's the next phase, is to look into the belief that you are the ego, that you are a person. So then you don't need you no longer need to use the old model now that you are in a new stage of your life. You see, you no longer need to worry about yourself and think about yourself, what's going to happen to me, what is happening in life, what's happening in my body. You need now to take a look at, what am I truly? Yes, there is this life, it all seems to operate in some way. My work now is no longer to be focused on the world, body, mind, but to be focused on understanding about reality, about truth, about consciousness. And so the question no longer is, how do I survive in this world? But the question is, what is peace and happiness? What is peace? Obviously, peace and happiness cannot be causal. What is causeless peace and happiness? It cannot be the result of, I live in America, which is a wonderful thing. Or no, it's got to go much deeper than that. And that's how come we are in satsang. That's how come we are having this conversation. So the old model has an echo. It will reappear in your life now, but to still cater to the illusory me in one way or the other. But that's not what you want to do. You don't want to continue to cater to the sense of separation, to the separate me. That's not you're no longer interested in that. Because what's the point? The separate me is just this body mind that's croaking every day, 24 hours more than it was croaking the day before. Well, not really. I mean, a little bit, not that much, being dramatic here. So what you are has to be fully here now. The mystery, your reality, your whatever it is, has to be here now 100%. What is it? What can know it? Obviously, it's not the body, because the body is not 100% or 1,000% real. Come back in 120 years and ask me that same question. You say, what? The body's gone. It's gone. Its dust has been ashes. Gone. Bungo. Gone. History. It's obviously not your house, not your money, not your kids, not your friends, not your mom, your grandma, not the government, not the politics, not your priest, not your rabbi, not your guru. That's not reality. But being, wait a minute, being. I'm not talking about being somebody. Being. Now we went, but listen, we went beyond gravity now. As soon as I said being, we left the gravitational field. We're no longer in the gravitational field. We're no longer talking about galactic fields, and we're beyond that. But as soon as I said being, we entered the chapel, we entered the altar, we entered the heart of silence. So that being, we've never experienced non-being. Being has no opposite. What would non-being be? What would non-being be? It's not possible. So the body, mind, brain, organism we refer to as the body, on one hand, one could say it's a very sophisticated instrument in the hands of the master, which obviously is magnificent because via this instrument we are now communicating. But what is it that is communicating? Is it bodies? The bodies are communicating? I am communicating to you. I. You is also I. I am communicating to I via this body mind. And the I that is perceiving, hearing, communicating right now, and the experience that I is experiencing right now, hearing or sensing or perceiving, they're not apart. There is no distance between the I and its expression. So I am communicating to I via my very self. I mean, look at the beauty of it. I am communicating to I via this body mind, this realm, this world, these sounds, which are not separate from I. So I never leave myself. I've never left myself. I've never left myself. I never cease being myself. How can I ever cease being myself? But that's the beauty, the creativity of this I, that I imagine myself as somebody, and so I perceive another. I perceive the else, the other. And so then I enjoy this game of the other, and then I realize, yes, the enjoyment of this game of otherhood, the world, the body, the mind, you, me, that this game is much sweeter when I realize that is all myself. Or another way of saying it, that it's not a sweet game when I imagine that you are not myself, when I imagine that I am separate from you and from anything else. How can you ever be separate from anything? Try to explore in your experience if anything is separate from you. Explore that. Explore that. Is there anything that's separate from me? Because when we are feeling bored, we're feeling that we're lacking something. So we go seek it. So we're lacking something which we don't have, which is separate from us. So we go seek it. Now, if in fact there is nothing separate from us, then it makes no sense to be seeking, because there's nothing outside of you. There's nothing besides your very self, not your very self as an ego or as a personal mind, but as consciousness.
There's nothing more compelling than that.
Yes.
It's like perfect and delicious after trying all the other stuff.
Yes, Mother, beautiful, right? You know, that's what's so precious about friendship, Dharma friends, you know, that we get it, and we somehow are together in this understanding, and the power of this understanding is vast. It's not a personal power, it's God's power. It brings the light in the darkness. It sheds the light in the darkness. You know, in the network of caves and tunnels, if there is no light whatsoever nowhere in the tunnel, we're doomed. But in the network of tunnels, there is light. The light of understanding, which arises from our love for truth and our interest in truth and our interest in causeless peace and happiness, not just for ourselves, for period. It's not for anybody. It just is. It's just this consuming love within us. It just, nothing can put it out. Anyways, I'm just using the metaphor of the dark tunnels and so on. I'm speaking a little bit dramatically, so don't, just, you take it with a grain of salt, you know.
I think some of those years were very subterranean.
Yes, been there, done that, as we all know.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Marga, lovely to talk with you. Okay.
Hi, Magdi.
Hi, George. Hello, George.
Hi there, Magdi. I don't really have a question, but just sort of a comment.
Mm-hmm.
You were referring to life as a game. And I was just noticing, if I'm playing a game and I know it's a game, it can be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But if I'm playing a game and I take this seriously, hey, I've got to win, it's not fun anymore.
Well, you still can have fun playing the game seriously and wanting to win, but being open to the possibility that you may lose.
Okay. All right.
You know, in the old days, George, we used to play competitive games, and at the end of the game, you know, there are some winners and losers, and then we all go to the bar and have a drink, and all is well. But
Right.
now it's like the Olympics. You know, we gotta kill each other. We go into deep depression for a couple of years if we lose, you know. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
No, that's fine. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think it's okay to be competitive, wanting to win. You know, when I used to play Scrabble or backgammon, I wanted to win, I mean, but yeah.
I guess I want to make a distinction between wanting to win and having to win.
Yes, absolutely. Once we have that understanding, George, then we still engage in life. We say, oh, this new project, maybe I can, submit a proposal and get this project and, employ so many people and make, good wealth for everybody. Why not? Just go for it. We go for it. We do our best. But nobody is better than nobody. We're all together doing the same thing, And when there is this this broader way in which we're engaging in the world internally, this is an understanding. There's something pretty interesting that I've noticed is that the universe plays along with you. It's a way of cheating, because then now you have the universe on your side, you know what I mean? You have more than the trump card on your side.
Right, but you don't want to mention that word, though.
What? You don't want to mention it at work?
No. You don't want to mention that word. You said the word chump. I'm just making a joke. You said
trump. Okay. Yes. Well, it's too late now. I did. Okay, George.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. Well, very lovely to be with you. It's really wonderful to be together, meeting for so long. It's really beautiful. Richard, Marga, George, Grace, Holger, Lisa, Esther, Holly, Shiva, Lokith, Lucas, Jacob, and John. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi.
See you.